Good evening, brothers and sisters. It's an honor to be out here in Oakland for the first time, I've never been to the San Francisco Bay Area at all in my life. So at 39 years old, it's better late than never. I want to thank you all for taking time out of your busy schedule to come on out and support this event. I want to thank Sister Kalila for thinking enough for me to actually make this happen. So please give Sister Kalila a hand. Also, to the good brothers and sisters of the establishment in which you're now standing or sitting, Kingston 11 Cuisine, please give them a round of applause. Before you leave here tonight, I want you to make sure that you sign the sign-in sheet that's going to be at the back table there, because when I come back to Oakland on my second visit, we're going to have a serious sit-down conversation because we have to organize the black parents of the Bay Area into a force to be reckoned with, so we can fight back against special education, and fight back against ADHD, and fight back against psychiatric medication. Sound man, if my mic is not clear, I need you to come fix it for me. Am I clear in the back, or does it sound muffled?
You're muffled.
I'm muffled. All right. Testing 1, 1, 1. Thank you very much. Testing 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Testing, testing. Psychoacademic Holocaust against black boys. The special education and ADHD wars against black boys. That is a book that I wrote, my first book, which all of you will have an opportunity to purchase tonight, and I promise I won't leave here until I sign everyone's book. Okay, if you're raising a black boy, you have to have my book, because it's the only book ever written by a black male school psychologist that teaches you how to fight back against miseducation. What to do when they tell you your son cannot come back to school unless he has medication. What to do when they ask you permission to evaluate your child because they think they're reading disabled or math disabled. What should you do when they want your son or daughter evaluated for ADHD? My book teaches you how to fight all that nonsense. And if you follow the information in the book, you will never ever have to worry about your child being misdiagnosed, kicked out of school, or put on medication. So that's your warrior's manual for your child. Another announcement before I begin. Tomorrow night, right back here, same place, I want you to spread the word. I'm going to do a miseducation machine parent training. Right here, the doors are going to open at 5 o'clock. We're going to start at 6. It's going to be a 6 to 9 event where I'm going to train all of you here on some of the basic laws of regular education and special education. That's going to be tomorrow. The cover price will be $10. None of that goes to me. That goes to help pay the bills for Kingston 11 Cuisine, because they allowed us to be here, and Sister Kalila for the expenses she's had to put out. This ain't about a hustle, this is about struggle. So if you know of any parents who should have been here tonight and are not, they need to be here tomorrow. Because after tomorrow night, I should never hear another African in Oakland say that they wanted to do this to my child and I didn't know what to do about it. Because tomorrow night I'm going to teach you. We're going to get down to the basics. It's going to be specific, and you're going to be able to go out after tomorrow and help any parent in Oakland fight to protect their child. That's going to be tomorrow night. Make sure you sign the sign-in sheet. 2014 is the year of organization for me. This conscious thing is good, and giving y'all the information is good, but the information is not enough. Some of us have gotten comfortable simply knowing, but we're not doing anything. We are the most intelligent group of Africans to ever walk the earth, and yet and still we are the most powerless. So for me, 2014 is the end of intellectual masturbation, and it's time for us to start constructing institutions for our people. Our children have to be educated by us. Charter schools are a good band-aid, but charter schools are not a solution. Charter schools are still controlled by the local school district. Charter schools are still ran by the state. A lot of people have tried to influence me to go around the country, open up charter schools. Why would I do that when I know I can be shut down at any moment by the state? Charter schools were started to destroy inner city education. Let me say that one more time. Charter schools were started to destroy inner city education. Does that mean if your child is in a charter school, you're working against the community? It doesn't mean that. If some of you work at a charter school, does it mean you're working against the community? It doesn't mean that. But I need you to understand the politics of charter education. Do you have charter schools in the Bay? Yes. Charter schools were started in 1990 by a group of white racist females who wanted to educate their white children, but they didn't want their kids to sit next to black kids. The state could not give them public money for a private school. So they created something known as the charter school, which would allow you the opportunity to run the school like it was private, but in law, it was still public. Charter schools were started to do what? Depopulate the public schools of Oakland. What do I mean by that? Let's say hypothetically Dr. Umar Johnson comes to Oakland and I open up a charter school for 500 black boys. Now it looks like I'm doing something good because I have a charter school for 500 black boys. But those 500 black boys have to come from where? The local public school. So guess what happens? When my school fills up with 500, that means another school got depopulated, which means the state is now going to do what? Justify shutting it down and redistributing those students because the building is at half capacity. And then when they shut the building down, they sell it to white gentrifiers who come into Oakland, buy the building, turn it into a private school, a strip mall, mini mansions, or apartments for college students, raise the property value up in your neighborhood, and push you out on the street. And it all started with a charter school. The charter school is the new face of white supremacy, which is why I have always argued as a Pan-African nationalist that if there's anything that our people need that is essential to their survival, we have to provide it. That means we have to build our children's own schools. Why are we looking for middle-class white women to give black boys a proper education? It will never happen. 93% of America's teachers, charter school, public school, private school, parochial school, are middle-class white women. Do you know what that means? That means our children are being taught by the children of those who resisted school desegregation. So you mean to tell me that your mother didn't want you to go to school next to me, but I'm supposed to believe you care enough about my child to give him a proper education? Let me say something. Black boys do not have a problem learning. Black boys want an education like everybody else. But what black boys do not want is they do not want to be castrated, they do not want to be disrespected, and they do not want to be belittled on their way to getting an education. We can sum up the miseducation machine real simply. It is the result of black boys who are suffocating to death from being constantly inundated with feminine energy 24 hours a day. They have their mothers at home all day, sisters, grandmamas, aunties, and then they come to school and got to deal with a white, racist feminine energy. That's right. And then you wonder why he drops out. That's right. It's not because he don't want to learn. He has a natural God-given need for masculine validation. And until we give them masculine validation, they will never go to school because every black boy knows that the schoolhouse is the last place that I'm wanted. And some of our boys are suspended from school so much that the message is clear that they're not wanted. And then after they over-suspend your son, they got a nerve to send you a letter requesting permission for a special education evaluation. His reading skills are 2 grades below where he's supposed to be. Can you please give us permission for our white psychologist to test your son to see if he has a learning disability? Let me make something clear to y'all tonight. The learning disability is not a fact, it is an opinion. I need y'all to understand this. Because as surely as I'm standing here, some of you parents are sitting home with children who have been diagnosed with this invisible disease called a learning disability. And your child has an IEP, inferior education plan. And because you bought into white supremacy's definition of what a learning disability is, your child is now being legally miseducated with your permission. The biggest problem I have with special education is the fact that the 2 million black children in it right now in America would not be if you all did not give permission for them to be evaluated. Is that Queen Mother Yaya Feeney right there? Oh my God. We got to talk, Queen Mother. All right. So anyhow, the problem is y'all like signing permission too much. Can we test your son? For what? Because he's not reading on grade level. Neither are most of the other kids in his classroom. So why did you single my boy out? Is it because I'm a single mother? Is it because I'm poor? Is it because I'm on public assistance? Is it because he has no father? So because you got too many black boys in your class, you figured out the way to depopulate your class was to start asking parents to get their children evaluated for invisible disabilities. You cannot prove a learning disability. Anybody in here who think you can prove it, prove it. I'm an expert evaluator. I've been doing this for 15 years. I'm an expert in the field. I do it for lawyers. If you can prove to me your son got a reading disability, prove it. Do you know what a reading disability really is? It's a parent who quit too soon. It's a teacher who gave up too soon. As a former school administrator, I can tell you, when I was assistant principal at a certain charter school in Philadelphia, our children rarely went into special ed. You know why? We had 3 reading specialists to help them with tutoring. We had 3 math specialists to help them with tutoring. If they had a behavior problem, I was the assistant principal and school psychologist. I would work with them with their behavior. So our special ed rate was extremely low because we didn't have a need to make money off black children. But what you need to understand something is that special ed is one of the biggest businesses in Oakland. Special ed is one of the biggest hustles in California. Special ed is one of the biggest rackets in the Bay Area. Listen to me carefully. Whenever I evaluate and diagnose your child with a disability, and there's 13 of them, there's mental retardation, autism, emotional disturbance, deafness, blindness, traumatic brain injury, orthopedic impairment, multiple disabilities, developmental delay, deafness and blindness together in the same child, emotional disturbance, if I didn't say that, autism, MRLD. No, ADHD is not a special ed disability. We're going to get to that in a minute. Your child does not have to go to special ed for ADHD. ADHD is not a special ed disability. ADHD comes out of this book. It is a mental disorder. And your child cannot be evaluated for ADHD in school. So if you tell me your son is in special ed for ADHD, then I'm going to tell you that only happened because you got him tested outside of school. And then you brought the report into the school and you opened your big mouth and told the principal that your son had an outside diagnosis of ADHD, which then allowed the school to put him in special ed because you talk too damn much. Those are the facts of the case. I am a doctor of clinical psychology and I'm a certified school psychologist. So I do work on both sides. ADHD, conduct disorder, oppositional defiant disorder, they are not special ed. They are mental disorders. But you can end up in special ed if your parent go telling the school what's going on outside of school. And that's another thing y'all need to stop doing. Stop telling your business to the schools, looking for sympathy, because they're using it against you. Your husband just got locked up, you raising 3 kids, you working 3 jobs to keep a roof over their head. You told the teacher that, looking for sympathy. You know what she's going to do? She's going to use it to force you to put little Raheem on medication because she knows you can't afford to get fired. So every time Raheem messes up, she calls you and says, you got to come pick him up, early dismissal. You got to come pick him up, early dismissal. So you come to the school and you say, excuse me, Mrs. So-and-so, I can't keep leaving my job to come and get my son. My boss is telling me if this keeps on happening, I might be terminated. Why did you tell them that? Now they got you where they want you. Well, you know what you need to consider? You need to consider some Adderall, so you don't have to come pick them up. You need to consider some Ritalin, so you don't have to come pick them up. You need to consider some Concerta, some Paxil, some Depakote, some Risperdal, some Zoloft, crack for kids, so you don't have to come and pick them up. I don't know if y'all heard the news a few weeks ago. For those of you who may doubt what I'm saying, because I'm looking at some of you, you never heard this before, so you doubt it because it's a man in black skin giving it to you. If I was white, you'd swallow everything that I say. But let me give you the facts. I didn't come to Oakland to make friends. I came to Oakland to bear witness to the truth, whether you like it or not. And the truth is, there's a class action lawsuit going on right now against the manufacturer of the psychiatric medication known as Risperdal. Some of your sons are taking Risperdal. It's an antipsychotic that they give to angry black boys to calm them down so they can accept white supremacy more peacefully. Well, guess what they found out? They found out that Risperdal has the side effect of elevating the amount of prolactin hormone in the bloodstream of black boys. Let me say this again. These are white lawyers. Risperdal has the side effect of raising the amount of prolactin hormone in black boys. Now, for my sisters who have given birth to a child, you know that prolactin is a hormone that is in abundance postpartum because it helps you grow breasts and lactate. So guess what the white lawyers found out 3 weeks ago? That black boys are growing breasts, and in some cases dripping milk, because you thought they needed medication to be able to sit still long enough to learn about white supremacy.